Hello, good morning. Welcome to Gaming Insight Daily for Monday, June 30th, 2025. I'm Steve Saylor. This is your daily show of gaming news, accessibility news, or updates about my life. I have caramel coffee in my Matrix mug today. Oh, I was a bit worried because normally whenever I have coffee in this mug, it can be really hot to the touch because it is a metal mug. But like this is the perfect temperature right now. It's warm, but it's not too hot. It's tolerable. Oh yeah. I mean, it feels good to be able to drink hot coffee again, considering the fact that I was in 90-degree weather in my apartment literally less than a week ago. So yeah, I'm just very happy right now. I'm so grateful for AC. I'm never gonna take AC for granted ever again. Anyway, hi, how are you? Hope you're having a good weekend. It was Canada Day long weekend, even though Canada Day is technically tomorrow, but they always it's always the weekend before. It kind of works out that way. And also I know that this week is also Independence Day for those in the States, so I hope you have a good and safe weekend. I know it may not be necessarily it's sort of seen as kind of like a patriotic holiday for both countries, but I hope that regardless of whatever is happening in sort of the political landscape for both countries, that you at least be able to celebrate at least some time off and relax with friends and or family. So also a bit of housekeeping. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern starts a 2-day, two-parter one-shot that we're actually playing hold on. I can't grab them up. There we go. We are going to be playing Daggerheart on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Steve Saylor. You can see I got the Daggerheart book here. We're going to be, if you don't know, I've been doing a lot of TTRPGs lately. I have my own show, Dungeons and Disableds, and this is a new system from the folks at Critical Role / their publishing arm called Darrington Press. We are going to be playing in their Age of Umbra setting, which for if you don't know the Age of Umbra, it is written by Matthew Mercer, and this is his contribution story-wise to the Daggerheart system, and he basically created a Souls-like game set in Daggerheart, and that's what we're gonna be playing. And I've got some fun stuff in mind for accessibility and for disability. So basically the tagline I've been saying with this is that who says Souls-like games can't be accessible? And it's called Unbroken, an Age of Umbra story that's starting tomorrow, twitch.tv/Steve Saylor at 3 p.m. Eastern. It'll be those session 0, and then the actual one shot will be Wednesday, July 2nd. That's actually my brother's birthday, so happy birthday, Tim. That'll be at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/Steve Saylor. I've got I've got some really great players. I've got Elbel, Thorman Gander, Mike the Quad, the crew from this Dungeons Disabled, and introducing General Andrews, who I'm very excited to actually be able to play with. I have not played a TTRPG with Jen before, so it's gonna be a very interesting. It's gonna be a fun, deadly session, as it were. All right, let's jump into the news today because there's two stories that I wanted to talk about. Now, I normally don't. I avoid kind of stories that where reporters or journalists or people talk to former executives over at previous companies, mainly because sometimes their comments can kind of seem like that they are griping against their former company, or they're airing out a little bit of a dirty laundry type thing, or it basically comes down to that's not how I would do it, and it has that sort of smug sort of attitude. Not to say all of them are, but I never really take any precedent of any sort of former executives sort of stance on how the company should be run, because I don't know if there is this a little bit of do you really know how the industry kind of works now? Are you a little bit out of touch? But then also it does kind of feel like, again, it's that airing that dirty laundry, which in some cases it's needed, because we definitely do need to root out corruption within the video game industry, because we definitely have that within the video game industry. However, it just sometimes it can just be seen as like just sour grapes at times. But these two news stories kind of are talking about the same thing, except with a different sort of angle, but they are coming from two former folks at Xbox. And they brought up sort of an interesting topic that I definitely wanted to discuss. And I know that probably looking at the title of this YouTube video, you probably would see that potentially that this is going to be a sort of a bashing on Xbox kind of video. But I wanted to talk about this because there's some greater context that I feel like that these folks may be missing. Hey, well, let's take a look and see what their insight is from being on the inside on how basically Xbox/Microsoft works. And we'll see if maybe there's something we can be able to kind of come to, at least on a middle ground, and kind of discuss it. If you have any comments about any of this, by the way, leave in the comments section down below. I'd love to be able to read your comments. I've been reading a lot of your comments on these videos. Some of them are great. Some of them are constructive feedback, and I appreciate that. And some of them have some great ideas and some comments and insight onto how the industry is, so I really appreciate that. I do read them all, and that really does mean a lot. But let's jump into the news stories, as it were. This is coming from Chris Scullion over at VGC. Former Blizzard president and Xbox exec says Xbox needs to, quote, pick their lane and stick to it, end quote. Former Blizzard president Mike Ybarra says Xbox should decide what its identity should be going forwards instead of trying to be a jack of all trades. Ybarra, who served various roles at Microsoft for 20 years, culminating in a role as a corporate vice president on Xbox Live and Xbox Game Pass before becoming Blizzard president for 3 years, took to X/Twitter to give his views on Xbox's current situation. Tough to see Xbox confused about who it is and what it should be, Ybarra wrote. Some great people there still. They have to figure out what needs to change, and fast. I'm a big fan and will always bleed green, cheering the team on from the sidelines. Pick your lane and stick to it. Asked by a follower what he thinks Xbox should do, Ybarra said that he felt it should focus on being a publisher rather than a console manufacturer. It's simple to me, he replied. Xbox should strive to be the world's largest publisher of entertainment content. Get rid of everything else and get focused. Do not be afraid to say what you are. Embrace the lane. Asked how that aligned with Xbox's identity as a console manufacturer, Ybarra replied, "From what I see, they are no longer that. Straddling the fence is not a winning plan." Ybarra was later asked by a follower whether he knew anything about the Xbox layoffs reportedly planned for this week, but he stressed that he knew nothing about what is going on there and haven't for years. Ybarra's comments follow those of former... I want to jump into that. So, this is a news story that came out after this particular news story. So I'm going to jump to this right now to kind of give that additional context. So this is by Andy Robinson over at VGC. Quote, I think Xbox hardware is dead, unquote, says Microsoft gaming veteran. Microsoft left many pondering the future of Xbox hardware this month following the announcement of multiple partnerships with external hardware companies such as the ROG Xbox Ally, MetaQuest 3S Xbox Edition, and a multi-year deal with AMD. That last one, I think, is actually more in regards to their own hardware requirements. I'll just say that because basically Xbox uses AMD chips in their consoles. So that, yes, it is an external hardware company, but both PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox, they don't build their own graphics chips. They don't build their own processor chips for their consoles. Both PlayStation and Xbox use AMD chipsets. Actually, what's running the PSSR, which is sort of PlayStation's own kind of upscaling technology, they're using AMD chips to basically do that. And Nintendo uses NVIDIA for their chips. So yes, the Xbox Ally and the MetaQuest 3S is external hardware companies, but the multi-year deal with AMD is more in line with their internal hardware requirements. So just wanted to say that out loud. Yeah, the ROG Xbox Ally in particular hints at the potential direction of travel for Xbox since it runs Windows and is effectively a portable PC that can even run games purchased from external stores such as Steam. The handheld is the subject of the latest video from Laura Fryer, one of Microsoft's Game Studio's first employees, who now creates YouTube videos commenting on the issues in the gaming industry. Kind of similar to what we do here. During her lengthy Microsoft career, Fryer shipped numerous games, such as a producer, including the original Gears of War games, and was the director of the Xbox Advanced Technology Group. After leaving Microsoft in the late 2000s, she was general manager of WB Games Seattle and later Epic Games in Seattle. Fryer's latest video ponders the future of Microsoft's Xbox business, with the platform holder championing a new cross-platform strategy under its Xbox Anywhere marketing, and explains why she's concerned it could represent the start of a quote-unquote slow exit from the gaming hardware business for Microsoft. In the video, Fryer calls the Xbox Anywhere message just marketing and its style with no substance, and says that she believes the ROG Xbox Ally, as essentially one of Asus's portable PCs rebranded, offers little attraction to consumers. Obviously, as one of the founding members of the Xbox team, I'm not pleased with where things are today. I don't love watching all the value that I helped create slowly get eroded away, she says. I'm sad because from my perspective, it looks like Xbox has no desire or literally can't ship hardware anymore. So this ROG Ally partnership is about a slow exit from the hardware business completely. As she continued, personally, I think Xbox hardware is dead. The plan appears to be just to drive everybody to Game Pass, and let's be clear, it has a lot of value. I'm thinking that might be why they decided to charge $80 for Outer Worlds 2, and here's the thing, maybe it will work. Xbox has a deep portfolio. The remake of Oblivion was obviously a huge success, and they can continue to outsource that work to external companies and make a lot of money releasing their older games. Older games from an era where Xbox knew how to build them. But what is the long-term plan? Where are the new hits? What will make people care about the Xbox 25 years from now? I'm excited to see Clockwork Revolution in the showcase, but will something like that be enough? Do they have more? Next year marks the 25th anniversary of the Xbox, and I'm sure that they will have some big announcements and plans for honoring the milestone. Maybe next year is the year. Maybe next year is the year that the fog will clear and all of us will see the beauty in these latest announcements. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Increasingly, Microsoft has adopted a multi-platform approach for its first-party games, with many titles now releasing for PlayStation 5, close to or alongside their Xbox versions. However, it has committed to releasing a next-generation Xbox console to succeed Xbox Series X and S. It's possible Xbox's future devices will adopt a similar approach to the Xbox Ally, ROG Xbox Ally. However, with President Sarah Bond stating this month that Microsoft's gaming arm is working closely with the Windows team to ensure that Windows is the #1 platform for gaming, at Xbox, our vision is for you to play the games you want with the people you want, anywhere you want, she said. That's why we're investing in our next generation hardware lineup across console, handheld, PC, cloud, and accessories. So let's go back to the Mike Ybarra article here, because I think, because it basically, so Ybarra's comments could fall closely of former Microsoft Game Studios employee Lori Fryer, which we just talked about. Obviously, as one of the founding members of the Xbox teams, yeah, that's what she said. I'm sad because from my perspective, it looks like Xbox has no desire, literally can't ship hardware anymore. Yeah, pretty much just repeating the same thing from the two articles. Okay, so let's discuss the two people specifically talking about this. Mike Ybarra, not immune to controversies himself. He left Blizzard. I think it was pretty much around the time that the Activision Blizzard acquisition happened, and he is kind of seen as sort of like one of those executives that, like I talked about at the beginning, may not know exactly kind of what the industry is like, kind of just basing it off of his own sort of like from his own higher like paid experience, and then also from Laura. She has not been, like it is even said, she has not been a part of Xbox specifically since 2000. So a lot of the Xbox culture and a lot of the Xbox, like what the current modern Xbox is like, is not is not in line with what it was when Xbox was first started in the basically in the like the 2000s up into the 2010s, within their first 10 years of existence. So take what they are saying with a grain of salt. This is not necessarily a sort of a like a, yes, it is a negative against Xbox, but it's not this like you have to kind of take the bigger picture into perspective here. Now, the whole thing of and the reason why I did these two stories, because they do tie together, and because they are both mostly talking about the hardware side versus the publisher side. Let's talk about the hardware side for a second. By Xbox saying that they're still going to be committing to consoles, future generation of consoles. They've already kind of it's not to say that they can't change their mind. They have done that already with when they mentioned about games going multi-platform onto PlayStation 5. Phil Spencer has said that we'll start with we're gonna have these four. And he mentioned it was about I think it was about Sea of Thieves, it was about Hi-Fi Rush, and I'm blanking on the two others just at the top of my head right now. But it was basically like, and then people sort of accused him of lying, because then there were more games that had been released on multi-platform, not just an Xbox exclusive. And I always go up against that. I don't think that Phil Spencer was lying. I truly don't. I think at the time they were sort of experimenting basically publicly by saying we're going to see how these games are accepted, how well they release, basically kind of looking at the performance of that game going multi-platform, and then deciding from there. I think that's a good solid business strategy. That's how businesses work. They try things out, and then they kind of take a look at the analytics, they take a look at the numbers, and then they decide what the future is of that product or service. And you kind of have to in order to be able to evolve as a business. I'm not saying this as an Xbox apologist, and I'm not in any way. I love both Xbox. I also love PlayStation. I'm a PlayStation playmaker, so I'm also been an Xbox MVP like when they still had that program. I still have the trophy back here in my so I have been an ambassador for both platforms now, and so I'm not, so take that with basically what I'm saying is that I'm not apologizing for Xbox because I've been affiliated with them in the past, or I've worked with them in the past. So but what I will say though is in regards to going back to the hardware, is they're taking basically what the Microsoft approach is to hardware. Microsoft's main bread and butter is Office 365 and Windows. And they have become extremely successful because of that. There is nothing that tops the Windows and Office 365 within Microsoft. Anyway, there is like that. Windows is on every single PC. Like every single PC. Sure, there's the Linux folks, and we're not including Mac because they are their own sort of thing, but every PC has Windows on it. That is not by accident. We've seen it like from the past like several decades of Microsoft being in existence. This is the Windows, and Office 365 is their bread and butter. However, they do have other verticals within Microsoft that also create hardware. They create accessories, they create computers, they create laptops. Yes, do they outsource to other PC manufacturers? Of course they do. That help builds up the partnerships with those companies to keep including Windows on their devices. But also, they do make their own hardware. Is it a big money maker for them? No. Again, comparing to Windows and Office 365, comparing it to their hardware sales, it does not compute. You can even include Xbox in there. Xbox is nowhere near the amount of money that's being pulled in from Windows and Office 365. There is no, like, Xbox is a small vertical within the larger Microsoft landscape. That's also kind of why people sort of had thought that that Xbox was going to potentially be consumed within Microsoft, because it is a smaller piece of their pie, and they could basically just, Microsoft at any given moment could be like, now we're done with the gaming side, we're just going to close that whole thing down, and it wouldn't be a huge loss of income to Microsoft. Yeah, it'd be considerable, but it's definitely not a huge sort of drop in the bucket. So my thinking is that Xbox is adopting the Microsoft strategy with this. They're still going to make hardware. They're still going to also partner with other hardware and manufacturers to be able to make an Xbox experience. I think Xbox, as as a brand, as a as a sort of, as Sarah Bond says in this article, or like, well, previously, but also mentioned in this article. Where is it? Or was it this article? What does she say? Yeah, here we go. With the window, with basically Microsoft talking with the Windows team to ensure that Windows is the #1 platform for gaming. Windows runs pretty much like it's the only way that you can run Steam. It's the only way you can run Epic Game Store. It's the only way you can be able to run every other client and that video game client that is installable on a PC. It runs on Windows. So it would benefit Microsoft from being able to make sure that their Windows platform is it can be optimized for the gaming side. It's a partnership within Xbox and Microsoft to be able to make sure that basically Xbox can be the #1 platform for gaming. And I think that having a publishing side, now kind of we're jumping to the publishing side of Xbox, if that's what they're going to want to be, I don't think that basically they should choose one or the other. Because I think as any sort of financial expert would tell you, it's diversifying your portfolio. It's diversifying your income. Even advice to streamers and content creators. The common advice that I see all the time, and I even give, is that don't rely on one platform. Don't rely on Twitch or on YouTube as the only platform to be able to earn you money. You need to diversify into other avenues so that if one sort of fails, you can basically go. You're not losing a huge amount of income because you've already diversified into other outlets or other verticals within your own, like, quote unquote business. And Microsoft and Xbox is kind of doing the similar thing. They recognize that they are a great publisher. They have a large amount of studios within their wheelhouse, within their home, that basically they can just sort of tap into to be able to create great experiences. I mean, them buying Activision Blizzard was not just sort of an ego boost. That wasn't just a monopoly thing. You could see they've already benefited from them being in their part of the Xbox team, just in case, or just in lieu of, not in lieu of, just an example of Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Like, that was a huge thing for not only their Game Pass side of things, but also for their sales. And that's going to be, and yes, you could sort of, there has been reports of, Microsoft's gaming or the gaming division has increased, but if you take away what Activision Blizzard had sort of come in, they would be at a loss. That's not a mistake. That's not basically that, like, them. They knew that they were going to be have this increase of money. Same with Bethesda. Bethesda has been basically propping up Xbox over the lean years, these past few years since the pandemic. With great, amazing games, and they were already multi-platform to begin with. So by them putting their games over on PlayStation 5 is not a huge sort of like big deal, or not as big of a deal as we sort of talk about. Now, granted, if Xbox decides to basically to go to the full third party and basically be a full-blown publisher instead of a hardware manufacturer, I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. But I do think that might shoot them in the foot, because if they kind of go into what Mike had said, is that he thinks that they should pick their lane and stick to it. I don't think that, like, I think if they choose one or the other, I think that's going to do Xbox a disservice. I think it's going to push Xbox into a narrower lane that they can't get out of. And that's what they're trying to do with over the past few years with Game Pass, with Play Anywhere, with being able to like, basically, this is an Xbox. That's not an accident either. That's not a fun little marketing campaign. That is the future of Xbox. Is that any place you want to be able to play an Xbox game, we've got you. And that's their thing. And I think that also has to work with hardware. Yes, but they could be able to publish games on multiple things, but they also do need to partner up with a lot of hardware manufacturers and also make their own, because it's the only way to be able to make sure that the publishing side can be able to work. Like, so it's not an accident that they're on LG TVs and Samsung and also be available on phones and stuff like that. Like, and building up basically having it built into Xbox on PC, like built into like laptops and stuff, and also building out their own partnerships with handheld devices. It's not like Microsoft is giving them the license, giving these manufacturers license to basically to use these and be like, okay, go nuts. There is a financial stake in that too. Microsoft does get money every time that those hardware pieces get sold because the Xbox branding is part of it, but then also they get a part. Yes, they invested in it, so yes, they did get. Obviously, they would give money to be able to invest in making sure that their hardware is compatible, but also it's to be able to they do make money. They make money off of those partnerships. They make money off of the Samsung partnerships and the LG partnerships and all the smart TV manufacturers. I don't think that Microsoft should choose a lane and stick to it. I think that they're just, again, diversifying their portfolio. We are in a new era of gaming to the point where hardware and consoles are pretty much on par with almost top of the line PCs. It used to be that PCs was always the better of the better way to play because it had the higher graphics, it had the higher capabilities, it had basically made games run smooth and at higher frame rates. But now we're getting to a point where console hardware is pretty much almost on par with at least pretty decent PC specs nowadays. The fact that we've got a PS5 Pro, we got an Xbox Series X. If you look at the graphics compared to the PC, yeah, you might see a little bit like a bit of a difference. And yes, there is more frame rates over a PC. I don't think that the PCs will ever lose to that. But we are seeing almost PC-like performance in smaller devices. If you think about it, basically, if we go back to my main screen here, you see here I've got an AMD PC. I'm Team Red. I've been I've been a part of Red Team, the AMD Red Team for a couple years now. Look at this PC. It's big. It's massive, and it does really well. I like it. It's basically still holds up. It's a couple years old as far as hardware wise, but it still holds up. It's still one of my favorite devices to be able to play PC games on in conjunction with my handhelds. It is a great PC. But look how big this is. And compare that to an Xbox and to a PS5. I would show you, but I can't. Everything's plugged in, so I don't have anything to be able to compare the size to. But the size, just the size alone of being able to fit all that hardware into a device or a hardware box that is a third, if not a quarter, of the size of a PC and it's almost delivering a similar performance is remarkable. And I think that we're getting to that point where basically we're seeing basically gamers. Yeah, they may have one console, and that there is still going to be those folks that'll be like, I'm just going to play on Xbox. I don't need a PC. I don't need a PlayStation. But we are seeing a lot more folks basically diversifying their own gaming library. They're buying Xboxes. They're buying PlayStations. They're buying PCs. Maybe not so much in the past couple of years because obviously the money is definitely getting tighter, and I think that even getting a Nintendo Switch 2, even for myself, was very difficult, a financial decision to be able to make. But I think that we're getting to a point now where the idea of playing games anywhere is going to be a big thing moving forward for the future. Xbox is setting themselves up for a future, hoping that basically putting a lot of hope and investment into that their idea of what they think the future of gaming is going to be like, that they could basically be ready for it when it happens. And I think that they're also molding the future of gaming, as it were. The fact that you could be able to play games like an Xbox, like basically play, we'll just say just recently with the Oblivion remaster, you can be able to play. You can start playing it on your Xbox, then you can be able to, then you can go to your living room TV and you can turn on your Samsung Smart TV and jump into Xbox Game Pass and bring out a controller. You can be able to now play it in your living room or in your office, what have you, in your apartment. And then you're like, well, I want to continue playing this, but I got to go to a thing downtown. Okay, so I got to take a bus. All right, so I got got my phone or my handheld. I'm gonna basically like connect to the internet, download my save file, and I can or make sure I'm connected to the cloud, and I'm picking up exactly where I left off. The future that we hoped for with the Vita and the PSP, essentially, or no, specifically the Vita. Sorry, not PSP. The Vita basically being able to pick up games exactly where you left off. That is what is now. That is what is happening now. Imagine what a couple years from now would be like with with all the new handhelds, with all the abilities to be able to play Xbox games anywhere. That's going to be a big deal. I think being able to play games anywhere you want without being tied to a set-top box, I think is going to be huge. Now you could say that, oh, Steve, that basically proves that Microsoft is going to avoid doing consoles altogether. I don't think so. I think that's still going to be part of their ecosystem, just as much as Microsoft has their Surface laptops, there's their accessories. They still make hardware. I think that's just going to be a part of Xbox. There's still going to be the Xbox consoles. Is it going to be the main part of of Xbox? Whereas that, like they did before, where you had to have an Xbox box in order to be able to play Xbox games? No, because I think that era of gaming is kind of on its way out. I mean, PlayStation's still trying to continue it, and obviously Nintendo does their own thing. But I think that Xbox is kind of like saying, hey, you know what? We've been third fiddle for 10 plus years, 15 plus years now. I think we're still going to make hardware. We're still going to make it so this is the best experience to be able to play. I'm still going to keep buying Xbox consoles, but is it going to be my main reason to like, I'm only going to play just on my console? No. I can play games on my handheld. I can play games on my TV. I can play games on my phone. And I could just basically it's a shared ecosystem of experience. And I think that like, it's the same thing if you think about Apple. So you buy an iPhone, okay? Yeah, and you may not have any other Apple products within your sort of life, and but you start to use your iPhone, you start to use it a lot more, and you're like, I love how all this works. This is starting to kind of get I'm really enjoying the experience on this. I'm gonna get myself, like, I need a new laptop, or I need something to be able to maybe a little bit of a bigger screen. I'm gonna get an iPad, or I'm gonna get a MacBook Air. And the more devices that you buy within the Apple ecosystem, the more, the better the experience is, because everything just works together. Now, yes, there's a big difference between Apple ecosystem, because it just works with every sort of lifestyle, whether it's you're creative, you're just a casual user, or even a power user of these devices. But and this is specifically more towards gaming. But the more basically you diversify, I play games on my TV, I play games on my console, I play games on my handheld, the more robust that ecosystem is going to be. And I think Microsoft is kind of setting themselves up for that. Now, you may think I'm completely wrong, and I'd be willing to admit if I'm wrong. I'd be willing to admit if basically a few years from now Microsoft basically just fails because the strategy just didn't work, I will be the first one to say, hey, I was wrong. I thought this was going to work. However, I do think that basically that I don't think that, to kind of put into the original thing of the title of this video, is like, should Xbox should stick to one lane? I don't think so. I think diversifying is always going to be the better choice. Maybe making sure that they don't stretch themselves too thin, obviously. But I think that their publishing side and their hardware side is going to work in tandem. It's just, I think one is going to be shifting more priority. Software was always the bigger moneymaker. Hardware, everyone lost on hardware. Everyone lost money on hardware. We keep forgetting that they always, the console manufacturers, they put out those consoles at a loss. They don't make a huge amount of money off of hardware. So they are shifting more towards, yes, a publisher side, but I don't think that they're confusing the market by creating a new console or creating new consoles or hardware on top of that. I think it's just basically they're just looking at Xbox as the best way to be able to play video games right now, like best way to be able to play games. We have a lot of games. You can be able to play any of the games that you own, that you like, that you want to play. And we also have the ability to be able to, hey, if you want to try out new games, we've got Game Pass as well. I think it's just basically making the choice a lot easier for gamers and players to basically decide on, instead of, I love what Major Nelson told me. I used to do a podcast that basically called the Xbox Passport, and it was all about Game Pass. And our first episode was with Major Nelson, Larry Herb, And he said this about Game Pass, and I think that this kind of adopts to the wider Xbox Microsoft strategy is that instead of with Game Pass, it was always instead of what to buy, it's what to play. So you're not instead of deciding to kind of like what to buy, it's what to play. Because if your friends are playing Minecraft, you could jump into a device right now and play Minecraft with your friends. You don't have to worry about, okay, what device do I need to buy this on, or do I need to buy this game, or like stuff like that. It's just instead of what to buy, it's what to play, and that's where Microsoft is, I think, or Xbox is switching towards. Is that they're just basically switching towards hey, what game do you want to play today? And we have the capability of allowing you to be able to do that on whatever device, on however way you want to play it. And I think that's kind of just sums it up right there. I would imagine that I probably maybe have said some hot takes in there that you probably may have disagree with, and I would love to be able to hear your comments on that. If you disagree, if you agree, let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to be able to hear everything. What are your thoughts about Xbox right now? Yeah, do you think that Mike and Laura are right? Do you think that Xbox is confusing? Do you think that they should stick to one lane, or do you kind of agree with sort of my sort of stance on it? Let me know in the comment section down below. All right, that's gonna be it for me. Take care. Have yourself a great day. I might see you tomorrow. I should see you tomorrow. I hope I'd see you tomorrow, because I'm gonna I still have the one shot that I'm doing again. Daggerheart, Twitch.tv/Steve Saylor tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. We're doing session 0 for Unbroken and Age of Ember Story. I may need to be able to focus on that, so I may have an episode tomorrow. We'll see. Anyway, either way, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Really do appreciate it. Take care. Have a great day. I'll see you all tomorrow. Hopefully.